Meat pies for sale. Look at that bitch. Meat pie for sale. Meat pie for sale. Meat pie for sale. Pretty good. His name was Chuck.
Happy St. Patrick's Day week. It's not day. It's the week up. It's a couple days early. That's okay. Let's start with a potato. Start with a potato. Just peel one single potato. Anyway, this week we're going to be doing Mrs. Lovett's meat pie from Sweeney Todd, and I'm going to be giving you guys 5 facts you may or may not know. As far as the difference between the film and the actual story, my God, that potato has more bruises than Rihanna's date with Chris Brown. Anyway, peely peel peel. So yeah, while I'm peeling all the fucking bruises off this damn potato. Okay, so Sweeney Todd is a barber from Fleet Street. Can't even say that right. Todd murders his customers with a straight razor and gives their corpses to Miss Lovett, a pie shop owner, and also his partner in crime, who bakes their flesh into meat pies. In that story, they were simply motivated by greed and not revenge, which is how the primary theme of the musical is now, the way we see it. Sweeney Todd's character, oh yeah, by the way, cut those in little dices like that. Follow along, people. Sweeney Todd's character originated in a story called The String of Pearls. It was a story published in 18 stories total in a thing called a penny royal. And what a penny royal was kind of like a true crime rag bag with like stories of Bigfoot and shit in it. Now that your potatoes chopped up, you're gonna take, like, I don't know, my boyfriend needs to get the hell out of my way. You get like a medium potato and maybe like a smallish potato, and you're just gonna rough chop those also into just like bite-sized chunks, kind of like the potato. I should have said that in the first part, huh? Anyway, I digress. Keep chopping, Joe. So yeah, pennyroyal was kind of like a rag mag a little bit, with some true crime in there, Bigfoot, blah blah blah. And those published between 1846 and 1847. In the story, Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett were just thieves. They became grisly business partners. And in the film adaptation, Todd is more of a sympathetic villain. That they've added a really sad backstory to, sending him to Australia for 15 years for a ridiculous charge because of some like pedo creep, and then returns back to London, wanting a reunion with his family, and then revenge, when everything unfolds. Yeah, so that's that one. And oh my God, here we go. I dreaded this fucking again. I had pre-cooked this stuff the day before so that production to be a little quicker today. And yeah, please pray for me because I'm not ready for this. Oh my God. I don't know why I went to sniff it. I just smell everything. I don't know why. Ugh. It was strong. Anyway, my eyes watered for like most of the night after this stupid fucking onion. Anyway, you're going to take half an onion and you're also going to dice it into like bite-sized chunks because this stuff is going to cook for a long time and break down. Anyway, next fact. Commonly mistaken to be set in the Victorian era because that's when it was all first published in the penny royal between 1846 and 1847. The story was actually set back in 1785, which puts it in the Georgian era. Some people don't care, some people do, but just, we all think it's the Victorian era just by the way they're dressed and stuff. It's really not if you go back and look at it factually. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to crush a couple cloves of garlic because mo garlic, mo better. Yeah, fuck you, onion. I'm still filling that onion. Fuck you. Yeah, so I don't know why it took me so long. I'm just going to probably show you guys some stuff while all this is going on. Yeah. Nope, just going to chop it. Okay. Chop, chop, chop. Unlike Johnny Depp's suave, dark, and vengeful film character, the original story has Todd described as like this really weird and creepy guy. They say he's short, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with a short man or a short lady or whatever. But he's like it kind of seems like he's got like a small head and a big body. No, actually, they're kind of almost proportionate to each other, but he's got like these flaily looking arms and like this bushy hair. Yeah, mix all that shit together in a bowl. I'm not even looking at the screen while I'm just talking right now. Sorry, guys. You know I roll. So yeah, real quick, I'm going to wash off my hands because we're going to move into the next phase. We're actually, we're going to get this beautiful chuck roast real quick before I get into everything else. This is like a 4-pound roast. So I'm going to cut it in half because we're only going to do enough for 4 pies today. So, and it's a little frozen too. I think it's easier to cut meat when it's a little semi-frozen. So yeah, this one's a little frozen. I'm just going to cube it up into cubes. I'm going to trim a lot. There's fat on. I don't want a lot of fat in this pie. So we don't want a fatty chuck. You know, nothing wrong with a fat chuck. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, in this case, we don't want a fatty chuck. So yeah, I'm just going to chop all that up. We're going to go on to the next dealie while I prep. Anyway, so yeah, he was just like very weird, very odd. He had very bushy hair. He had like a very large grin. And then his laugh was like super strange, like a hyena sound. And in the stories, others who had heard him laugh, either be a nervous laugh or a sinister laugh, it would kind of freak them out, and they'd be like, could you just not make that noise anymore? Because it honestly creeps the shit out of me, and it startles me a little. So, and I'm not gonna lie, honestly, I would have liked to have seen Johnny Depp pull that off.
You're really weird.
A few years before The String of Pearls came out, Charles Dickens referenced those preparers of cannibalistic pastries, who are represented in many countries' legends as doing a vile retail business in the metropolis. In his novel Martin Chuzzlewit's, I can't even say it, I'm horrible. Anyway, Dickens and other popular writers around the time had mentioned mysterious urban legends in their writings about people chopping up other people and selling them in meat markets and sausages and pies, or disguising them as other cuts of meat, blah, blah, blah. So it's said that String of Pearls was most likely very, very, very influenced by these writings because they did come first. And with that said, there has been a long, rumor, urban legend type deal that the story of Sweeney Todd may actually be true. A few years after String of Pearls released, several writers started to make claims that stories were true, that Todd had in fact been a real person who lived and committed crimes decades before the story's release. Legends and rumors spread from London to Paris, so this went a ways. And in 1993, controversial author Peter Haining published Sweeney Todd, The Real Story of the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Historians have debunked Hanning's research, saying that what he called nonfiction is a hoax with made-up sources because he's never been any historical evidence for Sweeney Todd's existence or his crime anywhere, even looking back in time. So yeah, back to the meat, a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. We're going to mix this shit up, and we're going to put it in the oven. Or the crock pot, or on the stove. I'm going to put it on the stove today. You can do either. If you want to put this in the Dutch oven, you can set it at 325. And cook it for 3 hours. I meant to do that. Or you can set it in your crock pot for 8 hours on, medium or some shit. But today I'm going to put it in the pan. I gave you guys those facts quick, huh? That's okay. There really wasn't a whole lot. Some of it was kind of boring. I'm actually more interested in the story of the String of Pearls now. I think I want to try to find that book and, if it even got put into a book, and I'd just like to read it. It seems pretty cool. So basically what we're doing right now is we're just going to brown this meat really good on all parts. And then, we'll go from there. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about Sweeney Todd. But yeah, I mean, they between the differences of them, they did keep some things in there, some characters, in the film version and the musical version. Obviously, like I said earlier, his story is more of a sympathetic one and not just one of just being a straight villain that's, greedy and just wants to murder. So they set him up with a family. So he had a wife and a daughter named Joanna. Now, Joanna is not in the original story at all. Like, Sweeney Todd does not have a family. Yeah, so basically it starts out where he kills somebody. He kills a sailor, and the sailor has like a string of pearls that means something to his, I think she's a fiance. I haven't read all of it. I've only like read little parts of it that I can find on the interwebs. But the guy brought a dog with him. Sweeney Todd kills him, throws him in the hole for Mrs. Lovett to eat some meat pies. And, the dog doesn't leave. The dog's basically going to snitch on him. Kind of like, little Toby in the film. He's like, I'll stay here for Mr. Pirelli until he comes back. And Sweeney's like, no, get the hell out of here. It was kind of the same with the dog. It was like, get the hell out of here. And the dog's like, no, I'm going to come back. But the dog goes and gets like some other sailors to come back and check it out. Like, good girl, Lassie. Okay, now don't drain anything out of it. Just keep the, the juices from Chuck in there. Add all your vegetables. And you're going to cook this for like maybe about 5 minutes. You're not even all that long, really. I'm just going to stir it up and keep talking. So, yeah. And then it just turns into, from what I understand. Oh, yeah. Now we're going to add, we're going to add a teaspoon of thyme. We're going to add a bay leaf. And I actually dry and store my own rosemary. So I'm just going to add a sprig of that in there, too. And just stir that together too, so that you kind of get all the flavors together. But yeah, so in the story, from my understanding, there is a Toby, but his name's Tobias, or maybe it's backwards between the movie and the story. I don't know. I'm gonna take that out because I put that in too soon. I've got to put other things in, like flour. So I'm gonna put in like 2 tablespoons of flour, because now we're kind of getting to the point where we're gonna make a quick roux in between my talking. And stir it up really, really good. You'll notice the liquid's just gonna soak up so quick, but make sure when you stir it up, you don't see any more white. Because sometimes it'll just stick like that, and then you'll just get a piece of meat that has like some flour that's not cooked on it. It happens every once in a while, not all the time, but because I've had it oddly happen before, I just like to make sure everything's like completely stirred up before I do anything else. But yeah, once this is all done, you're just going to keep cooking it like this for like a minute or two. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start adding bone broth. We're going to add some bone broth. And we're going to add 3/4 cup of bone broth. If you don't have bone broth, you can just use beef stock. Let's pour that in there. And break that up. And I've had, I'm kind of like, deglazing some of the bottom of the pan. I think that's the right word right now. I can't think. I need coffee. But yeah, there was like, some stuff at the bottom of the pan. We're just getting the renderings stuck off the bottom of the pan. And then we're going to move into our Guinness. Our Guinness. This is what makes this shit Irish this week. So I use Guinness every year, I think. I use Guinness every year in these damn creepy kitchens. I don't know. But the rosemary goes back in because now we're ready to boil this shit. We're going to put half of this 11.2 ounce bottle in there. I kind of just eyeballed it. You can do that if you want to. Also, if you're not a beer drinker, if you don't like the taste of it, or you don't want to cook with it, you do not have to. You can add more beef broth or stock to it. And then right now, we're going to add about 1.5 teaspoons of balsamic vinegar and the same part honey. Then we're just going to stir it back up. And then what's going to happen now is like it's going to cook for like 3 hours. Adjust the heat down to like a low simmer and keep it covered for about 3 hours. You can go back and check it off and on. And in 3 hours, it's going to look like dog food. Straight fucking dog food. And you can either use a fork and like kind of break up all these chunks, or you can just do what I'm doing, which is just torturing the shit out of myself because I hate my life and breaking it all up with a spoon piece by piece. So yeah. Also, this is what I made the day before, because I was trying to save time the day of. I just wanted to set it up and just assemble the pies, basically. Like, just prep and assemble the pies. I mean, I have a second batch that I've made. But here we go. The fucking pies. End of the road here, I think. So get a large muffin tin. If you don't have one, you can like use a foil and like a tin can and kind of make a makeshift little pie crust dealy. I'm going to attempt cups because you need like a 4-inch shell and a 3-inch round shell, just like as the top. The 3-inch is going to be on the top. The 4-inch is going to go inside of the pan. If you can get it in the pan, because apparently that's not the only thing that I like partially frozen. You know, besides meat partially frozen to work with. I did not let this sit long enough on the counter. And here's the big reveal. I was fucking devastated. I felt the edges of the crust and I was like, okay, it feels soft enough. But then when I popped the whole thing out, it wasn't done all the way. So now I hate my life more and I'm just going to keep molding this shit out of this until it warms up enough and becomes pliable enough. And I just have no fucking patience right now. Fuck you. Oh, I fucking hate you. Okay, just go. Just keep going. Keep going. You're almost there. It's getting late. Just keep going. Okay, now we're going to attempt my Care Bear cup, which didn't quite work, and everything's kind of stuck to the pan. But take your muffin tins, and you're going to spray them. And then we're going to start putting these still frozen discs in there. And I'm going to tell you right now, I hate working with pie crust. I hate making pie crust. Do you know how long it took me to even find these fucking pie crusts? It's not pie crust season, people. That's my fault for picking pie crust. I'm going to say that right now. But I am not good at making homemade pie crust. I can make bread and cookies and candy till the cows come home, but pie crust is not my jam. Krusty's pie crust mix, that is my jam. That is the best pie crust mix ever. I went to 4 or 5 stores over the past few days and I could not find it. I actually found these 2 pie crusts. These were the last ones, mind you, at Albertsons. Everything is out everywhere. So I better learn. There we go again. Fuck my life. Okay, great. So I better just, get used to, either no pie crust or just figuring out how to make it good to where I like it. Because I don't like it. I just don't. And then we got 4. Now we're going to make some fucking tops for this. Here we go. I'm just going to take this and cut it into 4s because I'm frustrated with rolling this shit out. Okay, I just rolled it in the balls and then I figured, okay, what if I just took this and smashed it? It would help me make really consistent-ish circles to go on the top. And then I used the rest to roll it out. Obviously, you see what I'm doing. You're not dumb. Okay, now we can fill the fucking pies. And then you know what? I was so happy because the 2 crusts that I was able to locate after several fucking days of stores, I had literally just enough to make 4 pies. And then this batch that I'm telling you guys how to make, it's a half batch because I didn't want to make 8 pies in one day. So I did 4. So I did half a batch and made 4. Anyway, so tuck this stuff in. I don't really know. I don't think I've ever really made pies like this before. I've made like pies, like whole size pies, but I don't think I've ever made these little pies. It's just new for me. So like most shit I do on Creepy Kitchen, a lot of the times it's stuff I've never done and I wanted to try. So, and then I just find some way to justify doing it. Like, oh, what horror movie can I connect this to? What holiday and horror movie can I connect this to? How can I justify this in the dumbest fucking way? So now we need to do an egg wash now that everything's sealed. Separate your shit. I kind of want one of those egg separators, but I don't know. That works just as well just to do it that way. But you add a little tiny bit of water to your egg white and you're going to foam it up. I don't have a fancy brush anymore because it melted on my barbecue. Don't ask. So yeah, I just use the back of a spoon. And then we're going to put that in the oven for
400 degrees for 30 minutes.
That's what you do. That's how you make these delicious meat pies. Now, this was kind of hard getting out. I was really scared I was going to break it because everything I do breaks. But only the top came loose on that one. It was pretty nice. I liked it. And it was so golden brown. I was really happy with myself. It smelled so good in my house for 2 days. God, and it's so, oh God, it's so hot right there. I'm like, oh no, too hot, lady.
That's hot.
That shit's hot. But I'm going to do it anyway. Nope, never mind. Too hot. Still too hot, but it smells good. And then I got to take a bite. It was delicious. It just looks like dog food in a pie crust. So, thanks, Chuck. Happy St. Patrick's Day. See you later, creeps.